This is a story about the woman and the dolphin. In the heat-drenched daylight of Yasawa Island, the sun painted sky with gold and amber, its rays casting long dancing shadows across the pristine beach. The sand, as fine and white as freshly fallen snow, creaked under the soles of Lorelei's flip-flops as she picked her way across it, the cool ocean breeze rippling through her chestnut curls. Her sanctuary, a weathered villa with bougainvillea winding up its sturdy walls, squatted on the beach's edge. Yet today, it was not the villa that captured her gaze, but a shape at the water's edge, floundering like a beached whale. As Lorelei neared, she saw it was no whale, but a dolphin, its skin glistening under the unforgiving sun. It was medium-sized, and its body thrust weakly against the sand. A male's. From the concern in its eyes, it mewed like an aborted cry for help. "Oh, sweetie," Lorelei murmured, her nurse's instincts kicking in. She dropped to her knees beside it, making hushing sounds as if soothing a child. Its body was warm to the touch, the skin smooth and tough as wet leather. She scanned its body, checking for injuries. There were none. But it was exhausted and dehydrated. Lorelei looked around, spotting a group of locals near the old banyan tree. "Kevu!" she shouted, waving her arms. "I need help over here." The tall, lanky man turned, squinting at her. When he saw what had stranded Lorelei, he sprinted towards her, followed by two others. "What happened?" Kevu asked, his breath ragged. "I don't know," Lorelei replied, "but we need to get it back into the water. I've got some rope at my place. We can use it to make a sling." They worked quickly, the locals' strong hands and Lorelei's efficient instructions turning the rope into a makeshift harness. They positioned themselves around the dolphin, with Lorelei at its head, where she could see its eye rolled up, watching them with a gaze filled with terror. "Easy now," she whispered as they began to lift. The dolphin thrashed weakly, and Kevu's soothing words in Fijian settled in. They moved slowly across the sand, the dolphin's body slapping heavily against the ground. At the water's edge, they paused, Lorelei's feet sinking into the damp sand. "All right, on three," she said, checking the noose and around the dolphin's tail. "1, 2, 3. With a heave, they launched the dolphin into the waves. It hit the water with a splash, sending a spray of water over them. Lorelei gasped at the sudden chill, but her gaze was locked on the dolphin. It surfaced briefly before diving back under, disappearing into the depths. She let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. "I hope he makes it," she murmured. Kevu clapped her on the back. "He will. You've given him a fighting chance." Lorelei nodded, watching the horizon for any sign of the dolphin. She felt a tug at her heart, an unexpected concern for the creature she had just rescued. Days turned into weeks. Lorelei found herself checking the horizon every time she stepped onto the beach. She never saw the dolphin, and each day brought a twinge of disappointment. One afternoon, as she was preparing to go for a run, she heard a peculiar noise from the water. It was a series of whistles and clicks, like someone trying to imitate the dolphin's natural language. Curious, she moved closer to the shoreline. A figure surfaced, its body glistening in the sunlight. It was a dolphin. It was staring straight at her. Lorelei's heart leaped into her throat. Could it be? The dolphin leaped, its body arcing through the air before splashing back into the water. It let out another series of whistles, then swam closer to the shore. Lorelei waded in. The water cooled against her skin. The dolphin stopped a few feet from her, its eye regarding her curiously. She reached out a tentative hand, pausing a few inches from its head. Is it you? She whispered. As if in answer, the dolphin nudged her hand. Its skin slicked against her palm. She laughed, feeling a strange connection with the creature. I'm glad you're all right, she said softly. Over the next few days, the dolphin visited Lorelei every afternoon. They developed a strange sort of friendship, with Lorelei feeding it fish she caught for her own meals, and the dolphin bringing her seashells as gifts. One day, as Lorelei watched the dolphin dance in the waves, she noticed something odd about its behavior. It was surface swimming, its body moving erratically as if in pain. She waded in, concern etched on her face. The dolphin swam towards her, its eye filled with worry. She reached out, running her hand along its side. When she pulled her hand back, it was stained with blood. Her heart sank. What happened? She asked helplessly. The dolphin whistled softly, as if answering her, before moving closer to the shore. Lorelei followed, her mind racing. They reached the shallow water, where Lorelei could stand upright, without the water covering her shoulders. She ran her hands over the dolphin's body, searching for the source of the bleeding. She found it near its flipper, a deep gash oozing blood into the water. Lorelei bit her lip, knowing she needed to get the wound clean and dressed. But how? An idea struck her. She rushed back to her villa, grabbing tweezers, a first aid kit, and a bottle of iodine. She also snagged a large Tupperware container from under the sink. Back at the water's edge, she poured a generous amount of iodine into the Tupperware, filling it to the brim. She then grabbed a small net she used for cleaning her catch, scooping up water and pouring it into the container until the iodine was thoroughly diluted. She turned to the dolphin, who watched her with wary eyes. This might sting a bit, she said, submerging the tweezers into the solution. Gently, she cleaned the wound, clapping her tongue at the depth of the gash. Once the wound was clean, she dried it with a piece of gauze, then applied a thin layer of antibiotic ointment. The dolphin flinched at the touch of the cold medication, but held still. Finally, she wrapped a bandage around the flipper, securing it with tape designed to stick underwater. She stepped back, assessing her handiwork. There, she said softly. That should help keep infection away. The dolphin looked at her, its eye filled with gratitude. It nudged her hand, then swam away, his body moving more smoothly now that the wound was clean and dressed. Over the next few days, Lorelei treated the dolphin's wound, cleaning it every day and redressing it with fresh bandages. The bleeding eventually stopped, and the dolphin started to heal. One afternoon, as Lorelei was cleaning the wound, she noticed something strange about the dolphin's behavior. It kept looking towards the open sea, then back at her, as if trying to convey a message. She paused, looking into his eye. "What is it, boy?" she asked softly. The dolphin let out a series of whistles, then nudged her hand before swimming away from the shore. Intrigued, Lorelei followed, wading deep into the water. The dolphin stopped a few feet from her, then bowed its head, inviting her to climb onto its back. Lorelei hesitated, then climbed onto the dolphin's back. Her heart pounding in her chest, she felt a surge of exhilaration as the dolphin started to move, its body cutting through the water with practiced ease. They moved further out to sea, the shore becoming a distant line against the horizon. The dolphin swam with a purpose, its body moving powerfully beneath Lorelei. Suddenly it stopped, letting out a series of whistles. Lorelei looked around, trying to figure out what had captured the dolphin's attention. Then she saw it, a pod of dolphins, their bodies leaping and diving in the waves. Her heart skipped a beat. She looked at the dolphin beneath her. "Are those your family?" she asked softly. The dolphin let out a soft whistle, then nudged Lorelei off its back. She slipped into the water, feeling a sudden apprehension. The dolphin swam to the pod, letting out a series of whistles. The other dolphins swam towards them, their bodies moving gracefully through the water. Lorelei felt a pang of jealousy as she watched the dolphins interact with each other. She had grown fond of her solitary friend, and she didn't want to share him. The dolphin turned to her, its eye filled with sadness. It swam towards her, nuzzling her hand. "You have to go with them," Lorelei said softly, her voice thick with unshed tears. "You belong with your family." The dolphin let out a soft whistle, as if agreeing with her. It nuzzled her hand one last time before swimming away from her towards her family. Lorelei watched them go, feeling a profound sense of loss. She had grown fond of the dolphin over the past few weeks, and she would miss their strange friendship. But as she watched the pod disappear into the distance, she also felt a sense of pride. She had helped the dolphin heal, had given it a second chance at life, and now it was able to return to his family, to live the life it was meant to live. With that thought in mind, Lorelei turned back towards the shore, ready to face whatever adventures life threw at her next. But as she waded out of the water, she knew that she would never forget the dolphin that had crossed her path, the one who had chosen her to help him in this time of need. As she sat on her porch that evening, watching the sun dip below the horizon, she thought she saw a familiar shape leaping in the waves. She smiled, raising her glass of wine in a silent toast. "Goodbye, my friend," she whispered. "Thank you for the adventure." And with that, she turned back towards her villa, ready to face whatever the next day might bring.